Welcome back, everyone. My name's Ryan Selvy, and this is the first episode of Season 3 of File New, your best update of tech news, art news, designer news, everything that you need to create and go from there. My name is Ryan Selvy, and I'm a motion designer and graphic designer, illustrator, you name it. And we are here every Wednesday now to go over some of the best news that is happening in the industry. We have some stuff that's going on with Adobe, and we're going to be messing around with some new formats and some new ways to look at the news and ways to document the news and explore Adobe programs while we're doing it. We're here for the next hour or so, and we're streaming over to both Behance and YouTube. But hello to Raquel and Jack over on YouTube right now, and hello to a flurry of people over on Behance, like we have Oliver and Keys, Umacorn and Robert. Clever. Thank you guys all for being here. As things are going on, please by all means throw it in the chat, and I will get to them as I can. With that, also, if you're watching it as a replay, it is wonderful to have you here, and I promise to make this worth your time. The episodes are also uploaded to a podcast feed as well. So if you are driving, I will do my best to make sure that I call out the things that we call out, and we go from there. But without further ado, we should hop into our first segment, which is the news. Hey, Ryan Toon, also in the YouTube chat. Good to have you here, Ryan Toon. Thanks for being here, and Frank as well over on the Behance chat. So first up, the biggest news, I guess, is we're in a new season. This is season 3. So like I said, we'll be doing some new formats, and I think we're going to try to hop into a lot of the programs when we can and try to replicate different ideas. The biggest news that I think that we have maybe to start off today's show is the fact that Adobe MAX is 33 days away. And so Adobe MAX, if you are unfamiliar, is a big conference held on by Adobe, and it is taking place in Miami this year, which I am going, which I'm very excited about, and I am never been to Miami Beach before. But that said, if you have never been to Miami before, do not worry. You can still attend online. There's going to be, I think, let's see how many I have here. There is 50 plus online sessions, which you can join virtually through the idea of just going onto the Adobe MAX website. It'll also be over on YouTube as well. And it's free attendance, but also if you want to go into Miami, you can also do that. There's a bunch of people that are going to be there this year. There is Devin Rodriguez, who is the most followed visual artist in the world. There is Emily LaRussa, who's an Emmy Award winner. There is Christy Campbell, Aaron Droplin, James Barnard. There's lots of people there. You can check out the entire head count and everyone who's going to be in attendance. If you go to max.adobe.com, you can see all the different sessions. You can view all the different speakers, and you can see that there's a flurry of people. My headshot's not here, but I will be there. I'm not giving a talk, but you can find me over on the booth. We have Kelsey Brennan, who is Premiere gal, which is really exciting. Christy Campbell, who's a wonderful creator that we've had on Adobe Live before. Lisa Carney's been on Adobe Live before. A lot of these people are all Adobe Live regulars, so it'll be good to see them. I'm excited to see Aaron Droplin, big fan of his. And then, we also have some Express evangelists like Jordan Ellis, and lots and lots of people. Is anyone here in chat going to be going to the Adobe MAX Summit? And if so, let me know. I'd love to meet up. Oliver said he's already building his online calendar. Robert says nearly next door's Ryan. Keys can't go, but hopefully we see you online. And General Kenobi is also going to be there, it looks like. So looking forward to seeing so many people. You'll see that while I was talking about this, I brought over a picture of a palm tree because I'm excited about the palm trees. And I hit the new select subject and remove background, and you can see that now we have kind of these blue areas around the palm tree. What I can do is I can double click into the mask if I'd like to, and we can do the refine edge tool. I'm going to hold the brackets, and then I'm just going to hold over, and you can see it just easily gets rid of all of this blue that we've got going on here. You could also do some stuff as well if you wanted to with like some channels. But what I'm going to try to do with this new file new is we're just going to kind of hop in and we're going to maybe collage while we're working on it. So if you guys have ideas for imagery or things that we should bring in, by all means, let me know. And we're just going to kind of do it on the fly. And then that way we'll also have this cool representation of our episodes with the creation of different news articles that we talk about. So Keys, congratulations. You are the first part of this exciting new collage. I also have some other news to get through, so we could go ahead and hop into our next story, which is the Apple iPhone 16 Pro was announced. It is going to shoot 4K at 120 frames per second in Dolby Vision. So that means that your phone, which you can have right here, is suddenly going to have the capabilities to shoot at previously unheard of shots, and you can watch the whole replay. They had this really cool like ephemeral glowy vibe to their logo. That was their whole thing, because they're really focusing on Apple Intelligence, and that's all part of the new iPhone. The other thing that I think is really important for creators here is that the iPhone now has this new button that is like a shutter button. It's seen right here. And basically when you click on it, it's going to automatically open up your camera. And then if you hold down on it, it then will record a camera. And it'll also allow you to go and click and drag on the top, because it's going to be sensitive. It's the iPhone 16. And you can see that they're like kind of adjusting it here with the Apple Intelligence. But let's see if I can pull down and we can get to it. Yeah, so here, see, then you can drag left and right to mess with the zoom. There's stuff that you're going to be able to do where you can drag and mess with the exposure, which is really cool. And there's a 5x telephoto camera. There's 4 new microphones that Apple describes as studio quality. There's spatial audio, which is designed for immersive playback on compatible systems like Apple Vision Pro, which that in itself is a whole thing. Hey, Purple, welcome to the chat. And with this new camera, you'll be able to record things that can then be experienced in Apple Vision Pro or VR or AR. I think this probably will also go along the lines probably for the like the Quest or anything else that comes out. So Alessandra says that they still haven't finished watching the Apple event. Well, hopefully we can keep you up to date here. And you can launch the camera app with, or you can even launch a third-party alternative, which is cool. So if you wanted to set it up for a different camera, you also can always do that. And you can do things like light presses and hard presses, because it's able to tell which is working with which. So just for the sake of getting our collage ready, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to just go ahead and copy this bad boy. And we'll go and we'll put that into our little Photoshop of our collage. And we'll do the same thing where we just remove the background, and it should, it's not going to work we want. So let's click select subject and see if that's a better selection. Nope, it's going to give us the same thing. So all we're going to do is we're going to press the W button, and we're going to get to our magic wand tool. I'm going to click up here. You'll see that sample all layers is selected. I don't want to do that. I'm going to unselect that, and we're going to collect here. And I'm going to go to select inverse selection, and then from there we're going to click a mask there where we can then select over here. All right, guys, next story that we have up here is some Adobe Premiere updates, and the new Adobe Premiere color management system can automatically transform raw and log footage into HDR and SDR video without requiring LUTs, using either Rec 709 or the ACE section color space for improved dynamic range. Now, if that's a lot of very confusing language to you, just know that with this new iPhone, you are going to be able to shoot in log as of iPhone 15, which was the last one. But I'm going to go ahead and queue up a video that we have for some really exciting color management updates in Premiere Pro. Let's check it out.
Premiere Pro features an entirely new color management system that makes it easier to mix and match footage from virtually any camera, balancing the images to give you a better looking starting point than ever before, without having to manually use LUTs. Premiere Color Management does this by automatically tone mapping raw video and log footage from nearly every camera to SDR and HDR as soon as you place clips in the timeline. It's a set it and forget it system with 6 new color management presets that do all the heavy lifting for you, with deep customizations for pros who want to explore advanced settings. The default preset keeps everything looking exactly how you're used to in Premiere Pro. You now have the option to process all image and color operations in the traditional Rec 709 color space or the all-new ACES CCT color space, which is a wide gamut, higher fidelity color space designed for today's modern, high dynamic range color work. Many of Premiere Pro's most popular effects, like lumetri, are now color space aware, so your clip's native format is part of the color correction pipeline when you're working in a wide gamut preset, giving you deeper control to fine-tune your creative look and utilize all of the raw or log data in your footage. This results in the ability to get better skin tones, better dynamic range, and better color overall. If you use LUTs for creative looks, they'll dynamically adapt to SDR or HDR based on your source settings, making it easier to achieve the perfect grade. And you'll get color managed After Effects compositions in your Premiere Pro timeline when working between apps using Dynamic Link. Premiere Color Management is advanced color management made simple for helping you achieve perfect skin tones, better tone mapping, and colors that pop. Coming soon to Premiere Pro. Download and try it in beta today.
Pretty cool, right? I've always kind of been overwhelmed with the idea of like shooting in log or shooting and then being able to do some color adjustments. So I think this is going to be really helpful for a lot of people. I just went ahead and grabbed like a little part of the color wheel that we have. And then also in my libraries, if we go to my window libraries, I actually have a library set up of just all the different Adobe logos. So I'm going to go ahead and click and bring our Premiere in. But excitingly enough, that's not the only updates that we have for Premiere. So let's go ahead and queue up our other Premiere update.
Introducing the new Properties panel in Premiere Pro. It's a context-sensitive panel that intelligently surfaces the most frequently needed tools for whatever you've selected in the timeline. The Properties panel makes Premiere Pro easier to learn for new users and more efficient for experienced video pros. Simply select media in your timeline and get to work without having to navigate multiple panels. Based on the media you select, context-sensitive controls for adjusting parameters will appear with quick actions and fast access to additional controls when you need them without searching for them. And for the first time in Premiere Pro, you can modify the properties of multiple clips at the same time. Change graphic fonts and sizes. Crop or transform clips right from the program monitor. And change the size or opacity of hundreds of clips all at once. When you need more control and want to go deep, you can quickly navigate to advanced settings and different panels with a single click. Access the tools you need in a snap based on the clips you select. Modify multiple clips at the same time. Quickly access even more tools with a single click. It's the all-new Properties panel, designed to help you work faster and more efficiently. Coming soon to Premiere Pro. Download and try the beta today.
All right. So I think that's going to be pretty cool. It's going to feel a little bit more uniform to Photoshop and Illustrator, which already kind of has those updates. While you guys were off doing your little preview of the Properties panel, I went ahead and just got rid of the dark background around this. I thought maybe we can press like Control J or something. We could like create something a little bit more abstract. There is some choppiness to the sides, so I'm just going to go ahead and add like a Gaussian blur. And then we can have like this weird kind of like depth effect that we have going on. And maybe we want to do even like a tilt shift vibe. So then we'll like bring down this Gaussian blur. And then there'll be kind of like a focus in the middle, which I think is kind of fun. But that's a lot of Adobe news. Let's hop over into some more creative news as well, outside of the Adobe ecosystem. And that is that Jessica Walsh launched her own type foundry focused on emotional type. Now, this is a story that I found through creativeboom.com. And if you're not familiar with Jessica Walsh's stuff, she's quite the famous New York designer. And it looks like she is starting up a new type foundry. The interesting thing about this type foundry that she's starting up, not only is that it's focused on emotional type, but that there's only 7 typefaces offered on launch. And she said that there's more in the making, but she said that so many foundries focus on creating typefaces for mass distribution, but she stresses that we decided to hone in on more niche typefaces that can still have broad appeal while really helping brands stand out through their uniqueness. The focus is designers who want to create emotion-driven work. And she also says that I have fallen in love with the power of unique typography and its power to tell stories and create an ownable brand language. So as you can see, as we're like flipping through these different ones, it has been interesting kind of rollout. It's called Type of Feeling, and has these really cool typefaces that you can check out and download and use in your own projects as well. This is not our font of the week. We will still be having that segment, but we'll end up going back into some more Adobe Type Kit fonts for that. All right, and then our last news story of the day before we hop into our next section is that Adobe After Effects also has some updates. So let's quickly look at that, and then we can hop on into hyperlinks.
With the latest update in After Effects, you now have a much wider range of tools for working with native 3D objects in the 3D workspace. You now get support for embedded 3D animations when you import 3D models. Once imported, you can trigger, keyframe, and refine the animations even further. And it's now easier to create photorealistic shadows that seamlessly blend 3D objects into any 2D environment with new shadow catchers. And with new depth mapping controls, you can isolate effects in 3D space for realistic focus pulling, better lighting, world-enveloping particle effects, and more. There are also 33 new animation presets based on the latest trendy designs, along with new tools for animating number counters more efficiently so you can spend less time on tedious tasks and more time designing in 2D and 3D. Plus, cameras and lights are now consolidated in the Properties panel for faster editing. After Effects 25 features a fresh, new design that's modern and more consistent. With 2 dark modes, a light mode, and high contrast accessibility mode, you can customize the look and feel to your preference. You also get cleaner fonts and typography for better legibility and consistency with the other Adobe Creative Cloud apps. That means you'll spend less time relearning how to use tools in different apps and more time creating. After Effects is also getting faster with hardware accelerated UI UX performance on Windows that's up to 4 times faster than before. Quickly animate 3D models with realistic shadows and depth mapping. Access new presets and tools for faster motion design. Enjoy UI updates with faster UI performance on Windows. Coming soon to After Effects. Or you can download the beta and try it today.
Pretty cool, right? While you guys were in there as well, I grabbed just a picture of Jessica Walsh from her Instagram, and I also went ahead and I added a fun screenshot from the Type of Feeling Foundry. But as I said, that's the news stories that we have for now. So let's go ahead and hop into our next segment, which is hyperlinks. Is my blue your blue? Is my green your green? That is the new question that has been asked 1,000 times, but it's also, excitingly enough, actually something that you can test out at ismy.blue. And this is to test your color organization. It is something that you can do in just a few seconds. But basically, it says, is my blue your blue? And I'm in the way right here. But you can see that at the bottom it says, this is green, reset, or this is blue. And all you do is up to your opinion, click whether the background is a blue or a green section. So to me, this is blue. To me, this is okay. So this is like a cyan kind of vibe. If I were to look at this, I don't think I would say green. I would say this is blue. If I saw this, I would identify this as green. This is right on the line again, but I'm trying to think if I saw it like on a wall, if I would be like, look at that blank wall. I think this would be a blue one. I think this would still be blue. This is green. If I saw this, I would say this is a green. This is blue. That's right on the edge again. I feel like that's blue. So this time that I took it, it says that my boundary is at hue 170, which is greener than 77% of the population. For you, turquoise is blue, it says. Now, this is all backed also by some data. It's created by Patrick Meinault. He's a neuroscience and artificial intelligence researcher, and he posted this as to just create something to try to figure out where the green and blue lands. It turns out that actually the color, I think green or the color blue, I forget which one it is. There are like parts of the world where there is no division and articulation around the idea of that color. So then people are unable to actually switch between the two. In the chat, Oliver says he got 174, which, I mean, I think that means that you're more blue than I am, I believe. But it's interesting nonetheless. As always, you can always like reset this, and we could do something where we like maybe take a a swatch of it and we like throw it into Illustrator as we would, or Photoshop as we would. And we could even do something where we could like go and pull the exact color here, and then we can kind of see that it's within this. It's like in this very small range, and we can see, you know, how much there is of red, green, and blue, which is always interesting. But you could technically do that. I mean, for that regard, I mean, I would always say this is green. I would never even be on. I would always say this is blue. This is one that I would start to feel a little bit weird about. So like maybe we like pop in that also into Photoshop. And with that, we can do the same thing where we like click. And this would be way closer to blue once I see it, because then I can see that, you know, it's 183 blue, whereas like before the other one was 128. So just a fun little hyperlink, something fun to mess with while you are going about your day. But I hope that you check it out, and I would love to hear what you guys get as well. It sounds like Keys is at 190, so that means that it's way more blue than I am. I am greener than the rest of us, says Keys. And Oliver says, I'll have to give it a go on my calibrated screens instead of the laptop one. Yeah, I'd be interested to see how that also affects the implications of what is green and what is blue, if it just stands at a like a color and calibration thing, or if it turns out to be something else. But with that, let's hop on over to our next segment, which is Rebrand. So for Rebrand, I'm going to try something out here. There are a bunch of different rebrands that have gone on over the months that we've been off. So I'm going to focus mostly on ones that just happened, and I want to just focus on a few different things that are happening here. The first thing that I have geared up is there's a JPMorgan rebrand, and as you guys know, JPMorgan is a very famous bank in America. And they basically, this is reported on by Brand New, which is a really great site for keeping an eye on rebrands and designs and updates. If you pay, which I do, you actually also get a nice rundown of stuff. But I don't want to bypass their paid system, so I will try to just give kind of updates that I can see. You can see that they switched from before and after. The one on the left here is the before, which is JPMorganChase and Co. And they kind of just switched it to JPMorganChase. They went for a tighter kerned setup. So the letter in between, the space between the letters, which is called the kerning. If you're looking at an entire full word, then you can say that that's the tracking. And this is all stuff that can obviously be edited within your character's property panel. But this new logo has a lot tighter of a kerning. You can also see that the J introduces a descender, which previously you had the bottom and the top of the type all kind of within one thing. You have the J now kind of breaking that, which is interesting since there's no other spot within the logo where there is an ascender or a descender, maybe besides this G actually, now that I'm looking, because they went from a all title like small caps case, even though it is title case. They went with this kind of title case to an idea of capitals and lower, which I guess would be title case. So you have that balance of the J and the G, because I think if you were to take out the descender of the J and make it like the previous one but kept the G, I think the G would feel really out of place. But I think this feels really balanced. They went with a slightly more modern serif style, which is smoother with rounder serifs. The serifs are the things that are the extensions of the things. Over on YouTube, Prem Kumar is saying they're giving it an L rather than a W, so they don't like the rebrand. I personally think I like it, and of course I should always focus on the fact that this is coming from Ryan Selvy. This is not coming from Adobe. Adobe is not endorsing or criticizing fonts or criticizing logos. This is all just my opinions. But the overall weight of the text is also increased, and it gives it a much bolder appearance. What we can do here, if we really like this typeface, is you can bring it into Photoshop or Illustrator, and there's two different ways where you can kind of identify this type. So I'm going to go ahead and just make sure that this is included, and from here we can go to type, and we can match font. From here, it's going to ask us to identify where we would like to focus on the letters that we want to identify. And we're just going to drag this area around the spot that we want. And then it will show us available fonts. It'll show us both ones that we have on our system, and it'll also show ones that are available to download via the Creative Cloud, which is included. Keys is saying, I liking the new typeface, the more cohesive contrast between the letters. I agree. And so we can see here that there is Perpetua Bold, there's Minion Pro. You can see where they're coming from by these little icons. If it's like an open type or a TTF, you can see that it's on your system, whereas if it's this Creative Cloud icon, up here are ones that are already synced on your system. Ones down here are ones that are not yet synced on your system, but you can easily just click the download button. So let's go ahead, and I think maybe we'll try something like Baskerville. We'll press OK. And with that, we will be able to just hop in, and we can say something like JPMorganChase. And with that, you can see that it's not the same exact one, but it's giving the same vibe. If, you know, the actual one is made with a typeface that is available on your system or in Creative Cloud, you can always do that. Now, I know you're also saying, but that's only in Photoshop. I want to do it over in Illustrator. Have no fear. We just hop over to Illustrator. I'm going to do the same thing where I paste in this, and it's under a similar area, but it's actually a different name. So we're going to go to type, and it's under retype beta. And you can either do match font or edit text, which is really cool. Edit text is going to try to find some desirable results. And then it's actually going to let you go in and update the text into something that is editable, which is really nice, especially when you're trying to vectorize something. In this case, we, once again, I don't think have the exact font anywhere. They probably have some sort of component. But Monero Banner actually has a J that's very similar, and the P is looking similar, but it looks like they're having some little flares on their typeface that doesn't necessarily work the same. And then if you double click to apply it, you can like download it, and then it's going to edit it into the actual image, which is really nice. And Clever saying, wondering if the fix is in, Robert. All right, and then so here we can then apply, and they're going to generate the results so that we can then change and update accordingly. It's applying and activating the font. It's giving us this update. And then once we're ready, we should be able to go in and actively change the typeface and like what it says, which is really neat. Let's see here. Apply. It's giving me a little bit of a hard time right now. Or cancel. Let's click this. And we have to hit the edit text button, I think. Exit. Edit text. I might be having a hard time because I have to activate that font. Anyhow, it's going to give you ones that you can identify. Same thing, though, where you can go to type and you can do retype beta. You can do match font. It's going to do the same sort of thing where it's going to find what you want. And then you can be able to switch it over. But that's over on Illustrator. Now, Robert's saying that he has Adobe Color Profile on his screener as he's going through the Match My Blue, which is really exciting. Which is pretty cool. And also, Oliver's trying it on different screens, and I'm interested to see how you guys doing. All right. Next up, our next story or next one is this Inter logo, which is a nice logo that is also highlighted by the folks at Under Consideration, brand new. And all of these links are available in the Raindrop. This one, they went from this idea of a intern that was very smooth and curvy, and they went to this new jagged approach, which I think is cool that they have these horizontal and vertical cuts that then also are present in both the cutting of the T, which they extended out. You know, the inside of the N kind of has a cut, but they're also still playing around with this curvature. I think something that we could quickly do is we could see how we would create this kind of logo on the side here with the vertical to horizontal, which you can do in Illustrator as well. We're going to hop out of here, and what we'll do is all you would have to do something like that is you could create a shape like this. We're going to make it orange. And then I'm going to press Control C and Control V, and then R to rotate it, bring it down, something like this. We will maybe bring it down to be a little bit thinner. And then what I would try to do in this situation to see if this works is I would hold down Shift and collect the two, and then go to Object, Path. Wait, no, it's no blend's not under there. We would go to blend down here, and we could make. Now it's going to do something a little bit weird here. We don't necessarily want to do that. It's not going to land in the same spot. So we can go to our blend options, and you can adjust the orientation of it. You can also do specified steps. So if we want to do like 14 steps or something like that, we could try that out. And then the blend tool is also always accessible with just pressing this as well. It's also kind of messing around with the idea of it being these two vertical and horizontal. So what you might want to do is you could also always mess around with the idea of like the rotation tool. You can see here that it's getting a little goofy, but you can always adjust that too by just adding it as if it were a its own adjustment, and then you can always go back into the blend options and you can switch it back, or you can bring down the specified steps from like 14 to maybe like 5. Toggling on that preview on and off will give you a better idea. But then you can also always just go in, and if you were to select this one and press R and you hit Alt click right here, you can then also adjust this to do like 15 or something. And you can press copy you're going to want to do negative because you want it to go in the opposite direction. So you'd say -15, and you press copy and press Control D a few times, and then you'll get this kind of fanning here. You'd be able to go in and then adjust that. But you could also always go and then press the scale button and hold Alt down in the middle. You can do non-uniform, and from that you could always do something like 110 and press OK. And then with that, it will be able to bring up the size of it. You could also just drag it out yourself, and you could adjust accordingly if you'd like to. You could also always do something if you wanted to create this effect by clicking and making a small one here, and then copying it and creating a bigger one here, then going and doing that same thing where you go to Object, Blend, make then Object, Blend Options. You would maybe bring this down to like 5. Then you have these all in a row, which you could then expand the appearance of, which is right under your Object menu. And expand, and that'll pull it out of its blend form. And then from there, you would ungroup it. You would rotate it like so. And from there, you could then adjust accordingly. You could use the rotate if you want to have specific steps. So since, 90, and then you'd want to divide that by however many you have. So if it was 5, it would be, what is that? What would be 90 divided by 5? Let's see here. I'm going to use something that we're going to be using in just a second. Which is this Stream Deck, which is fun because I can click the calculator button and it pulls open the calculator for me. And under calculator, you would just do like 90 divided by 5 is 18. So then maybe I would never have gotten that, guys, by the way, just for the record. I would have never gotten 18 out of that. But you would bring it down to here and you would identify it. And then from there, you'd be able to make this logo, which is really cool. So that is that one. We also have a few other ones I want to flip through quite quickly. I know we only have like 10, 15 minutes left. But another really funny logo that we had identified is the Batman logo, which I would love to talk about this one. Basically, there is a new update to the Batman logo, and this is for Batman Forever, or Absolute Batman. And they went from switching it to a regular, like, jumping kind of bat that we're used to this chonky boy right here. And I thought that I could easily show you guys how you would be able to make something like this. You just would go, you can kind of create a square. You can hold down the Shift and tilde key, which could then kind of expand this. If you wanted to, you could also mirror it to make sure that it is the same on both sides. I'm going to hold down V and then select both and press Shift M, which will open up my shape builder tool. Hold down Alt and then collect these guys. But I'll do something like transform. Well, I'm not going to actually, because since this is so perfectly symmetrical, we're going to actually create the little downward spots of a diamond. We can maybe bring these two in like this. And what's really interesting here is that all of these are separate and different. So what we might even want to do is we might want to go before we create this, bring down a descender for these. Press R, Alt, and click, and we'll do -45. We'll bring this in. I'm holding down. Well, I'll press A, and then we'll hold down S, and then we'll switch it in like this. We'll click something along these lines. Does that look similar? No, so it's going to want the entire area to look similar. So maybe it's actually something like this, because then when we merge the shapes, And I'm going to just transform and reflect this over the horizontal axis or the vertical axis. Transform, reflect. Horizontal axis. I hit copy. Yeah, that way we can bring it up. Then we'll do the thing where we do Shift M. We'll bring them all together. Then I'll do Shift tilde. And from there, we can kind of bring this out. That way it adds the curvature to the side of the wing as we thought it would. Hey, Carol's here. Hey, Carol. How are you doing? Also, hello to Winter Powell. Says the new Batman logo is hard to read, in my opinion. It has to do with his armor plate, I learned. So that is why it looks the way it does. It's like what he wears on his chest, apparently. And so then we'll bring that across. And then we'll do the same thing with just the sides of said little triangle here. You know, we'll put this here. Make sure that maybe it's like equidistant. We can do something where we he has what, 2 little things on the top there. Make these a little bit bigger. How spooky. How spooky, dudes. Bring this down. And then he only has 1 here, which we will want to actually make sure is directly in the middle between these 2, because we're going to make that our center point. So I'm going to go to the line section, and then we'll do a mix up like that. Like this, okay? We're going to bring all these together, Shift M, or you can go to the Pathfinder and bring it down. But then I want to cut it completely in half. We're going to select both. I'm going to use the Pathfinder to get rid of one side. Looks like maybe this wasn't fully connected, which we can easily fix by going into isolation mode and just extending it. Same with this. And then we'll just make sure that all of these are then connected. We can do a Shift M, same thing, where we bring them all together. And then we'll do one last flip where we can do Shift M, or we can do the Pathfinder, and I'm going to subtract one side. From here, we'll then transform and reflect this with a copy over the vertical axis. And then more or less, we have an inspired kind of Batman logo. Over in the chat, Winter Powell is saying, especially since he has a lot of times in the dark that look like a big black boxish in the dark, not scaring the bad guys. But yeah, you can create it. You know, 1-to-1 is not exactly perfect, but that's at least how I would go about doing it. It's also interesting to see how they kind of updated the other ones for Wonder Woman and Superman. I think the Wonder Woman's kind of nice, especially with like the WW. I think that one's probably the easiest read. Superman, I don't know if I love this little point, but it just adds some visual interest. So good on them. I guess we should continue to contribute to our collage, right? So let's hop back on over to Photoshop, and we can paste this in. All right. Now, before we hop on to our next segment, I do want to take some time to go over a little bit of the stuff that is happening over on Adobe Live this week. Let's check out some Hotline, Motion Hotline.
Hey everyone, Kyle here from Motion Design Hotline, where we take your After Effects and motion design questions and turn them into a somewhat entertaining and occasionally educational show. We just moved to Wednesday mornings right before Ryan's show, so if you didn't just watch us, catch the replay where we're brewing up some morning-themed animations in honor of this new time slot, and make sure to watch next Wednesday when we'll be covering some character animation tips. If you've got your own After Effects questions, send them our way and we'll make that into a show.
Thank you to Kyle for sending that over. And then we also have something for Andrew with some office hours.
Hey there, File New. Hopefully you're having fun hanging out with Ryan. And if you want to have some more fun, tune in at 1 p.m. today right here on Adobe Live. Adobe Office.
So let's hop into resources. So this is this part that I want to talk about, my Stream Deck. So this is a Stream Deck. They are these fun little things that you can get for your computer that up until this point I used mostly for a let me see if I can like blow myself up here. Up until this point I used it mostly for streaming, because you can like make different things happen on stream while you're working. But something that I recently learned that you can do is you can actually use these guys, and there is native official support for Photoshop with the Stream Deck. So rather than having just a thing that like controls different things on your stream, you can actually set different actions that happen in Photoshop right on your Stream Deck. So rather than having to have different keyboard shortcuts that I memorize or actions that I want to happen, I can just associate them to the Stream Deck, which is really cool. So I'm going to show you guys how to do that. It's completely free as long as you have a Stream Deck, and it's really easy to set up. So if we go to my Stream Deck app here, you can see that they have a nice little replication of what it would look like on what's here. So it's a 1-to-1. You can create different profiles and stuff, but right up here on the side they have the Elgato Marketplace. Don't get scared that it says Marketplace, because you can actually just get it for free. You go and you would get the Photoshop controller here. You just click get the free plugin, and you click open in Stream Deck, and it'll open. If you have one of the newer Stream Decks with little dials, you can also switch that over to the like saturation and contrast, which is really cool. Which I have an older Stream Deck, which is a bummer, and I'm thinking about maybe getting the sliders for this exact reason. But you're able to then update and apply. Some of the things you can do is you can play some actions. So like obviously you have your keyboard shortcuts for like B for being brush. Let's say you don't want to use that though. You could then go to change that over to an icon itself. But there's also things like you can set up actions and then apply them. So all you have to do is you open up here, and you can see down on the side now I have an area which is Photoshop. And so we have the undo redo, we have play action, layer scroll, set blend mode, layer controls, adjust hue saturation, or select tool. Now what you can do is you just click and drag it onto the area. And so it will then update with an icon that is reflective of the thing that you are setting it to. And so I'm just going to click down on the tool section as long as I have my Photoshop open. You can see that the plugin is available here. I need to maybe close this and reopen this because I think I was messing with it before the stream. So we're going to save this as a cloud document, and then we'll open this right back up to show you guys how this works. And we're going to call this file collage, and we'll save that. And we'll just do a quick little reset of Photoshop. Now, if we open up Photoshop, it should be able to pull it out for us. Also, how do you guys feel about the splash pages? I love the splash pages. Let's open back up into this collage. Let's zoom back in. And when we open this, we can now see that it's connected. And then within here, you should be able to, well, let's restart the stream. I'm just hopping all over the place, aren't I? And I select the tool and I bring it to where it needs to be. I should be able to go through and I can select anything that I want here. So you can set it to easier things, obviously, like the lasso tool. And when you click that, it's going to update the icon. And now you can see in real time, it updates on my Stream Deck, so that then all I have to do is, if I'm in Photoshop, all I have to do is I can just click the lasso tool, and you can see that it changed on my screen to be able to switch over into the lasso tool, which is really cool. As I was saying, you can also do actions, which is really nice. So I don't have a specific action that I have set up, but like let's say that we go to Windows into actions and we create a new one, action 1, and we hit record, and it's like create a rectangle and put it full screen, and then we hit stop. So that'll be make a fill layer. Then I can go back over into this section, and all I have to do is say play action. It'll ask me which set it is, and I'll say action 1. And then now when I am over in my my little thing here, I can just hit this play button, and you'll see it creates a new rectangle for me. Now, that was kind of hard to see because we already had it highlighted or whatever, but like, let's scroll down and let's do it again. So, boom, see? And it pops up right there. Now I have 3 because I pressed it 2 times. And that could set to anything. That could be a gradient map. That could be saving something out. That could be creating different layer effects onto stuff, which is really cool. And all it is on your Stream Deck, which is really nice. And I'm going to try to get into the habit of using that to speed things up because I don't use it as much as I probably should. And then another resource that I have for you folks, I know we're getting tight on time here. I also have like 40 million things open because I keep switching it up, is that there is now a way to sort through over 100,000 copyright-free images over at public.work. And this is from Cosmos. And they recently actually used artificial intelligence to pull out and tag a bunch of different content for you. So this is using images like sources from the Met and the Art Institute of Chicago. It is really easy to kind of get around, but it also has a search where we can go into here and we can say dog. And because of artificial intelligence, it was able to then pull out and get all of these pictures of dogs. You can click in, everything's available to download. You can get information on it if you need full information as to where it's coming from and what it is. Any tagging system that it has. If you want to view it in Cosmos, you can do that as well. And this is all completely free for you to use. Each image includes its original source information and a toolbar that tracks previously viewed images, so you never get lost. Because, you know, it just kind of goes down, which is a fun little, like, stack that you have, which is so pretty. The website is a comment on, like, distractions and digital spaces and using AI integration to enhance the user experience rather than, like, replace anything. And I just think it's a really resourceful thing. All right, we only have about time for one more thing, and that's for Font of the Week. So let's hop into that, and then we'll switch over from there. All right, guys, for this Font of the Week, what we'll do is we'll hop back over into our Photoshop little box that we have here, and I just want to highlight at least one of them. I have a few of them, and maybe we'll get to them next week. But the one that I want to highlight today is one called Fisterra, and it's by Typotype. It's on Typekit, and it is a beautiful, beautiful font. It comes in 2 different spots. It is described as one typeface with 2 perspectives, and Morty has the softness of a humanism and voluptuous curves, they say, which would be this one. And then 4 is the precision and accuracy of its sharp angles. So this one's a little bit more legible. This one's a little bit more funky. And they share a single skeleton of condensed uppercase letters, which expands nuances in some alternate characters and ligatures. It has 248 characters. It supports 143 languages. Also, if you go to their site, on typotype.com/Fisterra, there are a threat found essentially, but that did not happen the last time I was here, so apologies on that guy. Maybe we put a www in front of it. No, it looks like they have some issue that they have to fix. It's not going to give you a threat here, but very, very pretty. Great stuff for approaching spooky season without it being too spooky. You know, there's also recommendations of things that you can pair it with and go from there. But that's all we have for now. Jack says the perfect pizza font. I just want to thank you guys all so much for being here. This has been a passion project of mine, File New, and I'm very excited to have season 3 of it. Today we were trying out a new format. Some of it might stick around, some of it might. Let me know what you liked, what you didn't like, and we'll go from there. But we will be back next Wednesday, and next Wednesday will be a little bit later in the day, and then that will be our secured time that we will then have moving forward every week. But thank you guys for being here. Thank you for all your contributions, and I will talk to you all real soon. Stay tuned. We got plenty of stuff coming up. I think we have Brody next, right? Is Brody up next with finishing a drawing? And thank you guys for being here. It's going to be a great time. And thanks for watching. Follow me on Instagram as Ryan Selvy, on Blue Sky as ryanselvy.com. Okay. Goodbye.